The rain came down like bullets on the Walmart parking lot. Dorothy Whitmore stood frozen beside her car, grocery bags scattered at her feet. Three men surrounded her. The youngest one, Chad Brennan, 28 years old, BMW keys dangling from his finger, had his hand wrapped around her throat. "Shut up!" he screamed into her face. Spit flew from his lips. "Shut up, old hag!" Dorothy's fingers clawed at his wrist. She couldn't breathe. The asphalt was slick beneath her feet, her vision blurred at the edges. Tyler Mackenzie grabbed her purse and dumped it out. Pills scattered. Her wallet hit a puddle. A photo of her late husband floated in the dirty water. "Please," Dorothy gasped. The word came out broken. "Please." Devin Cross kicked her cane away. It clattered across the parking lot. Chad's face was inches from hers now, close enough that she could smell the whiskey on his breath. "You thought you could embarrass my father? You thought you could go to the cops?" Dorothy's hands shook as she reached for her pocket. Her phone. Her fingers found it. She pulled it out, the screen cracked but still glowing. Chad laughed. "Who you gonna call? The police? My dad owns them." Dorothy's thumb found the contact, the last number in her recent calls. She pressed it. One ring, two rings. Chad squeezed harder. Dark spots danced in her vision. Three rings. Then a voice, deep, gravelly. The kind of voice that had ordered men into battle and brought them home. "Mom?" Dorothy's lips moved, barely a whisper. "Wyatt, I need you." The line went quiet for exactly 2 seconds. Then, "Where are you?" "Walmart, the one on..." Chad ripped the phone from her hand and threw it. It skittered across the wet pavement. "Stupid old..." The sound cut through the rain like thunder. Not thunder, engines. 20 Harley-Davidson motorcycles, their headlights cutting through the darkness like searchlights. They came from every direction, boxing in the parking lot. The lead bike, a black road glide with the license plate PREZ-62, stopped 20 feet away. The engine cut off. The rider swung his leg over and stood. 6'3", 230 pounds, silver beard down to his chest. A scar ran from his right temple to his jaw, pale against weathered skin. His leather cut bore the colors. Hell's Angels, Scottsdale. Above the patch, one word, President. Wyatt Iron Whitmore didn't run. He walked, slow, purposeful, each step deliberate. Chad's hand loosened on Dorothy's throat. "Who the hell?" Wyatt's voice cut through the rain. "Let her go." Not a request, a command. The kind of voice that had commanded soldiers in Fallujah. The kind of voice that had told a crying widow he'd keep her husband's promise. Chad looked at the 12 bikers, then back at Wyatt, then at Dorothy, still gasping for air. "This doesn't concern you, old man." Wyatt stopped 5 feet away. His boots were steel-toed. His hands hung loose at his sides. On his right forearm, an eagle and American flag. On his left, a name and dates. Beth, 1961 to 2018. "That's my mother you've got your hand on." The words hung in the air. Behind Wyatt, 11 more bikers dismounted. Their engines ticked in the cooling rain. None of them spoke. They didn't need to. Chad released Dorothy. She stumbled backward, coughing. Wyatt caught her with one arm, steadied her, didn't take his eyes off Chad. "You okay, Mom?" Dorothy nodded, her hand at her throat. Bruises were already forming. Wyatt's jaw tightened. The scar on his face went white. "You boys have about 10 seconds to get in your vehicle and leave." "Or what?" Chad tried to sound tough, failed. "You'll..." "Or nothing." Wyatt's voice stayed level, controlled. "I'm not threatening you. I'm giving you a choice. Walk away now, or wait for what comes next." Tyler and Devin were already backing toward their BMW, but Chad stood his ground. Young, stupid, rich enough to think money made him invincible. "You know who my father is?" "Don't care." "Walter Brennan. He owns half of Phoenix." "Still don't care." "He'll destroy you." Wyatt smiled, no warmth in it. Kid, I've been destroyed before, by better men than your father. I'm still standing. A black Mercedes pulled into the parking lot. Slow, expensive, the kind of car that costs more than most people's houses. Walter Brennan stepped out, 55 years old, custom suit, hair perfect despite the rain. The kind of man who'd never gotten his hands dirty in his life. Is there a problem here, gentlemen? Wyatt turned, sized him up in 2 seconds. Rich, powerful, used to getting his way. Your boy just assaulted a 78-year-old woman. Walter smiled, professional. It's just, I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. I watched him choke her. Do you have proof? Wyatt pulled out his phone, held it up. The screen showed a red dot. Recording. Started recording the moment I got here. Got everything on video, and we're streaming it live. Walter's smile didn't change, but his eyes did. I see. And you are? Wyatt Whitmore, President, Hells Angels, Scottsdale Chapter. Ah, Walter's tone shifted, calculating now. Mr. Whitmore, war hero, I believe, Iraq, among other places. Well, Mr. Whitmore, I'm sure we can resolve this like civilized people. My son will apologize, will compensate your mother for her distress, and we can all go home. She doesn't want your money. Everyone wants money, Mr. Whitmore. Not her. Walter's smile finally faded. Then what does she want? Wyatt looked at his mother. Dorothy stood straighter now, hands still on her throat, but eyes clear, defiant. Justice, Dorothy said. Her voice was hoarse but steady. I want justice. Walter laughed, actually laughed. Justice? How quaint. He turned to Wyatt. Your mother filed a police report last week. It went nowhere. Do you know why? Wyatt said nothing. Because I made one phone call. One call, and it disappeared. That's how this city works, Mr. Whitmore. Money talks. And I have more of it than you can imagine. Maybe, Wyatt gestured to his phone. But you know what I have? 5,000 people watching this right now. Every word you just said, every threat, every admission, all of it live. Walter's face went pale. Wyatt continued. See, here's what you don't understand about the modern world, Mr. Brennan. Money can buy cops, it can buy judges, but it can't buy back a viral video. And right now, 5,000 people just heard you admit to obstructing justice. Sirens wailed in the distance. Walter straightened his tie. My lawyers will have this thrown out before. Maybe, maybe not. But those 5,000 viewers, they're sharing this right now. Their friends are sharing it. By morning, the whole city will have seen your son choke an old woman. They'll have heard you brag about buying off the police. Wyatt stepped closer. You can buy a lot of things, Mr. Brennan. You can't buy back your reputation. The police cars pulled into the parking lot, 6 of them. Chief Vernon Kane stepped out, 50 years old, gray hair, the kind of cop who'd spent more time at fundraisers than crime scenes. Mr. Brennan, he said, nodding to Walter, then coldly, Whitmore. Chief. Wyatt didn't move. I'm going to need everyone to disperse. Now. Not until you arrest the man who assaulted my mother. Kane's jaw tightened. Mr. Whitmore, I don't take orders from... 6,000 people are watching this, Chief. Wyatt held up his phone. 6,000 witnesses. You gonna arrest the victim? Or you gonna do your job? A younger officer stepped forward, late 20s, Nathaniel Briggs. 3 years on the force, still believed in the oath he'd taken. Chief, Briggs said quietly, if we don't handle this right, it's going to blow up. Kane glared at him. Officer Briggs. Sir, with respect, there's video evidence, multiple witnesses. If we walk away now... Briggs gestured to the crowd forming. People had come out of the Walmart, phones up, recording. It won't look good. Kane stood there, rain dripping off his cap, caught between Walter Brennan's money and 6,000 witnesses. Finally, fine, Chad Brennan, I'm bringing you in for questioning. Questioning, Dorothy's voice cut through. He assaulted me. I want him arrested. Ma'am, we need to follow proper procedure. The proper procedure is to arrest someone who commits assault. Dorothy stepped forward. 78 years old, bruises on her throat, hair soaked with rain, but standing tall. I'm pressing charges, full charges. Walter pulled out his phone. I'm calling my attorney. You do that, Wyatt said. We'll be calling ours too, along with every news station in Phoenix. This story's going out tonight. Kane looked at Briggs. Briggs looked at his body camera, still recording. The young officer nodded slightly. Chad Brennan, Kane said through gritted teeth. You're under arrest for assault. You have the right to remain silent. Chad's face went red. You can't, Dad. Walter held up a hand. Don't say anything. I'll have you out in an hour. As Kane cuffed Chad, Wyatt turned to his mother. Let's get you home, Mom. Dorothy took his arm. They walked past Walter Brennan, past the police cars, past the growing crowd. Walter called after them. This isn't over, Whitmore. Wyatt stopped, turned. No, sir, it's not. It's just beginning. The garage smelled like motor oil and coffee. Wyatt Whitmore stood in his workshop, irons, custom garage, hands deep in the engine of a 1970 shovelhead. His hands were scarred, burned. The kind of hands that had held rifles and wrenches, saved lives and built bikes. The radio played low. Johnny Cash, the working man's prophet. Wyatt, he looked up. Augustus Gus Merriweather stood in the doorway. 65 years old, vice president of the Scottsdale chapter, Gulf War Marine, walked with a limp from a grenade in Kuwait. Got a minute? Wyatt wiped his hands on a rag. What's up? Your mom called the shop, said she needed to talk to you. Wyatt frowned. His mother never called the shop. She had his cell number. If she called the shop, it meant... He pulled out his phone. 3 missed calls, all from Dorothy. He dialed back. She picked up on the first ring. Wyatt. Mom, you okay? A pause, long enough to make his chest tighten. I need to tell you something, but I need you to promise you won't do anything stupid. Wyatt closed his eyes, counted to 3. What happened? There's this boy, Chad Brennan. He's been bothering me at the Walmart. Bothering you? How? Another pause. Mom, he says I hit his car 6 weeks ago. In the parking lot, he wants money. Did you hit his car? I might have bumped it, barely. I gave him my insurance information, but he says insurance won't cover it. He wants cash. Wyatt's grip tightened on the phone. How much? Started at $5,000. Now he's asking for $7,000. And you told him no. Of course I told him no. I don't have that kind of money. What happened then? Silence. Mom, what happened? He grabbed my wrist, left some bruises. It's fine, Wyatt was already moving, grabbed his keys off the workbench. Where are you? Home, but Wyatt, please don't. I'll be there in 10 minutes. He hung up. Gus was already grabbing his own jacket. How bad? Gus asked. Bad enough. They rode hard. Wyatt's Harley screamed through the Phoenix streets. Red lights meant nothing. Stop signs were suggestions. 9 minutes later, they pulled up to Dorothy's house, a small place in Mesa. Same house Wyatt grew up in. Same porch where his father taught him to tie his boots. Same driveway where he'd wash the family car every Saturday. Dorothy opened the door before he knocked. She looked small. That hit him first. When had she gotten so small? Let me see, he said. She held out her wrist. Purple bruises, finger-shaped. Some asshole had grabbed her hard enough to leave marks. Wyatt's vision went red at the edges. When? His voice came out flat, controlled, the same voice he'd used in Iraq when things went bad. This morning, at Walmart, I was putting groceries in the car and he just appeared. Did you call the police? Last week. They said they'd look into it. Nothing happened. Why didn't you tell me? Dorothy looked at him, really looked at him. Her eyes were his eyes. Same steel, same stubbornness. Because I knew you'd do exactly what you're about to do. And what's that? Something that'll land you in jail. Wyatt pulled out his phone, opened the camera. I need to document this, for evidence. He took photos of her wrist, careful, clinical, the way the Army taught him to document injuries. Who's Chad Brennan? He asked. Some rich kid, drives a fancy car, acts like he owns the world. He have a father? Walter Brennan, the developer. You know, the one who's been buying up half the city. Wyatt knew the name. Everyone in Phoenix knew Walter Brennan. Billionaire, real estate mogul, political donor, the kind of rich where laws were suggestions. I'm going to handle this, Wyatt said. Wyatt, legally, I promise, but I'm not letting some punk put his hands on my mother. Dorothy's eyes filled. She turned away. I should have told you sooner. I didn't want you to worry. Wyatt pulled her into a hug. She felt fragile against his chest. When had that happened? When had his mother, who'd raised him alone after his father died, who'd worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table, who'd driven him to the recruiting station even though she didn't want him to go, when had she become fragile? Mom, he said into her hair, you don't protect me anymore. I protect you. That's how this works now. She pulled back, wiped her eyes. Promise me you won't do anything stupid. I promise I'll do everything smart. Not quite the same thing. She knew it, he knew it, but she nodded anyway. Wyatt called an emergency meeting that night. The clubhouse sat on the edge of Scottsdale. Unmarked building, no signs. If you knew, you knew. 18 men sat around the table. Full patch members. Every one of them a veteran. Every one of them had Wyatt's back. He stood at the head of the table. Gus on his right, Thaddeus Diesel Boone on his left. Got a situation, Wyatt said. He laid out the facts. Clean, simple, no emotion. When he finished, Diesel spoke first. Want us to pay this Chad kid a visit? No. Wyatt's voice was firm. We do this right, legal, by the book. The book doesn't work for guys like Brennan, someone muttered. Then we write a new chapter. Montgomery Wrench Sullivan leaned forward, 60 years old. Could build a Harley from scratch blindfolded. What's the plan? First, we document everything. Every time this kid approaches my mother, we record it. Photos, video, times, dates. Build a case that even a bought-off cop can't ignore. And if that doesn't work, Gus asked. Wyatt's jaw tightened. Then we escalate, but legally, always legally. We're not thugs, we're citizens, veterans, businessmen. We play by the rules. Even when they don't, Diesel asked. Especially when they don't. That's what separates us from them. The room went quiet. Finally, Gus nodded. So we watch, we wait, we document. And we protect, Wyatt added. From now until this is over, someone's with my mom whenever she goes out. Rotation, discreet. She doesn't need to know, but she's never alone. 18 heads nodded. One more thing, Wyatt said. He pulled out his phone, showed them the photos of Dorothy's bruised wrist. Kid who did this is 28 years old, probably thinks he's untouchable because of his daddy's money. He put the phone down. I need you all to understand something. We're not doing this because he messed with a Hells Angels mother. We're doing this because he messed with a 78-year-old woman who can't defend herself. My mother, your mother, everyone's mother. He looked around the table, met each man's eyes. We're supposed to be the bad guys, right? That's what they say about us. Outlaws, 1%ers, criminals. Some nods, some smiles. Well, here's our chance to show them what we really are. Protectors, defenders, men who stand up when the system fails. Diesel raised his beer. To Iron's mom, and to showing these rich assholes that money don't mean shit when you cross the wrong family. 18 bottles raised. To Dorothy, they said as one. Wrench came back with the surveillance. They sat in Wyatt's office. Small room. Desk covered in invoices and motorcycle parts. On the wall, a photo of Wyatt's unit in Iraq. Young men with old eyes. Wrench opened his laptop. Got 4 incidents on camera, all at the Walmart. He played the first video. Chad Brennan approaching Dorothy in the parking lot. You couldn't hear the words, but you could see the body language. Chad standing too close. Dorothy backing away. Chad grabbing her arm. Second video. Chad blocking her car. Dorothy trying to leave. Chad standing in front of her vehicle. Third video. Chad with 2 friends now. Tyler and Devin. 3 young men surrounding 1 old woman. Fourth video. Today. This morning. Chad screaming in Dorothy's face. Wyatt watched without expression. Inside, something cold and hard settled in his chest. There's more, Wrench said. I talked to some people. Bartender at the place Chad drinks. Couple of waitresses. And? This ain't his first rodeo. Kid's got a reputation. 6 other elderly folks in the past year. Same scam. Claim they hit his car. Demand cash. No cops involved because his daddy makes problems disappear. Anyone press charges? 3 tried. Cases all went nowhere. Witnesses disappeared. Evidence got lost. You know how it goes. Wyatt knew. He'd seen it in Iraq. The insurgents who bought off the local police. The warlords who owned the courts. Justice for sale to the highest bidder. He'd fought a war to stop that kind of corruption over there. Funny how it followed him home. What about Walter Brennan? Wyatt asked. Wrench pulled up another folder. That's where it gets interesting. Our boy Walter isn't just a real estate developer. He's running a scheme. He showed Wyatt the pattern. 4 shopping centers around Phoenix, all experiencing problems. Vandalism, harassment, crime, property values dropping. Walter Brennan buying them up cheap. Insurance fraud? Wyatt asked. Worse, he's creating the problems, sending his kid and others to make the areas look unsafe, scaring off customers, tanking the property values, then swooping in with low offers. How much are we talking? Best estimate, $18 million over 4 years. Wyatt sat back, stared at the ceiling. $18 million stolen through fear and intimidation. And the cops looked the other way. The judges looked the other way. Everyone looked the other way. Because Walter Brennan had money. Get me everything, Wyatt said. Every document, every witness, every piece of evidence. What are you going to do? I'm going to build a case that even a corrupt system can't ignore. And if that doesn't work? Wyatt looked at the photo on his wall. His unit, his brothers, half of them dead now, died believing they were fighting for justice, for the rule of law. He'd be damned if he let their sacrifice mean nothing. Then we make them pay attention, he said. Dorothy's Wednesday morning routine never varied. 6 a.m. Wake up, make coffee, read the newspaper. 7 a.m. Light breakfast, toast and jam. 8 a.m. Morning walk around the neighborhood. 10 a.m. Drive to Walmart. Same Walmart she'd been going to for 15 years. She was a creature of habit. Wyatt knew this. The club knew this. Chad Brennan knew this too. That's why Wrench was already in position by 9 a.m. Parked 3 rows over, baseball cap pulled low, looking like any other customer. Diesel was inside, pretending to shop. Eyes on the entrance. 2 more brothers in a van near the exit. And Wyatt, sitting on his Harley 2 blocks away, radio on, waiting. She's here, Wrench's voice crackled, pulling into her usual spot. Wyatt watched the time, 10:03 a.m. 45 minutes passed. Normal shopping, no problems. She's checking out, Diesel reported, heading to the exit. Wyatt started his engine. Wait, Wrench said. Black BMW just pulled in. License matches Chad Brennan's. Wyatt's hands tightened on the handlebars. He's parking, getting out. 2 others with him, Tyler and Devin. Do not engage, Wyatt said into the radio. Just watch. They're approaching her. She's at her car. Wyatt could hear the tension in Wrench's voice. He's talking to her. She's shaking her head, trying to get in her car. Wyatt pulled out of his spot, started riding toward the Walmart. Boss, he grabbed her arm. She's trying to pull away. The Harley roared louder. He's pushing her against the car. Boss, I think we need to. Hold position, Wyatt commanded, but he was riding faster now. She just pulled out her phone. He's grabbing for it. 1 mile away. He knocked it out of her hand. He's yelling in her face. Half a mile. Boss, Tyler just shoved her. She almost fell. I'm 30 seconds out, Wyatt said. Get ready. Devin's surrounding her from the other side. 3 on 1, boss. We need to move. Wait for my signal. Boss, he just grabbed her throat. Wyatt twisted the throttle. The Harley screamed. He hit the radio, called all 11 other bikes. Code red, Walmart, now. 20 seconds later, 12 Harleys converged on the parking lot. By the time Wyatt arrived, Chad had Dorothy by the throat, screaming in her face. Wyatt cut his engine, stood up, and everything changed. The rain started as the police cars pulled away with Chad in the back. Dorothy sat in Wyatt's truck, wrapped in his leather jacket. She'd stopped shaking, mostly. Wyatt stood outside, phone to his ear. Yes, that's right, he told the voice on the other end. We have video evidence, multiple witnesses, and it's already going viral online. No, I understand. Tomorrow morning works. Thank you. He hung up, slid into the driver's seat. That was a lawyer, he said. Friend of mine from the service. JAG officer. He's taking your case. Pro bono. Dorothy looked at him. Wyatt, I can't afford. You're not paying. He owes me a favor from Iraq. Big one. What kind of favor? Wyatt started the truck. The kind you don't talk about. They drove in silence for a while. Rain hammered the windshield. They'll get him out, Dorothy finally said. Walter Brennan will have his son out of jail before dinner. Probably. So what was the point? Wyatt glanced at her. You ever hear of the Streisand effect, Mom? The what? When trying to hide something just makes it more famous. That video of tonight, it's been shared 8,000 times already. By morning, everyone in Phoenix will have seen Walter Brennan's son assault an elderly woman. They'll have heard Walter admit to bribing cops. So now it's not just your word against his. It's 8,000 witnesses, 10,000 by midnight. The news stations are already calling me. They smell blood in the water. He pulled into her driveway, put the truck in park. Mom, guys like Walter Brennan, they're used to fighting battles nobody sees. Dark rooms, quiet deals. But we just drag this into the light. And in the light, they're not so scary anymore. Dorothy was quiet for a long moment. Your father would be proud of you, she finally said. Wyatt's throat tightened. His father. Dead 18 years now. Heart attack at 62. Wyatt had been in Iraq. Didn't make it home for the funeral. Some regrets you carry forever. Dad would have done the same thing, he said. No, Dorothy put her hand over his. Your father would have wanted to, but he wouldn't have known how. You learn things in the war, hard things, how to fight battles, how to protect people. She squeezed his hand. You're a good son, Wyatt, even when you're being scary. He helped her inside, checked all the windows, all the locks, left his number on the fridge. Wrench is parking outside tonight, he said. You won't see him, but he'll be there. If anything happens, you call me. Anything at all. She hugged him at the door. Thank you. Wyatt rode home through the rain. His phone buzzed constantly. Texts from the club, news outlets, lawyers. The video had hit 20,000 shares, but one text made him stop. Unknown number. You just made a very big mistake. WB. Walter Brennan. Wyatt stared at the message for a long moment. Then he typed back, No, you made the mistake. 23 years ago, when you taught your son that money makes you untouchable, I'm just correcting your error. He hit send, turned off his phone, and rode into the night, the rain washing everything clean. The video hit 200,000 views by sunrise. Wyatt sat in his garage, coffee going cold in his hand, watching his phone explode. Notifications every 3 seconds. Shares, comments, messages from people he hadn't talked to in 20 years. The local news played on the radio. A reporter's voice, crisp and excited. Viral video shows confrontation between Hells Angels president and son of prominent developer Walter Brennan. The footage, which has been viewed over 200,000 times, appears to show 28-year-old Chad Brennan assaulting an elderly woman in a Walmart parking lot. The woman, identified as Dorothy Whitmore, is the mother of Wyatt Whitmore, president of the Scottsdale Hells Angels chapter and decorated Iraq War veteran. Wyatt turned it off. His phone rang. "Gus, you see the news?" "Yeah. Channel 5 wants an interview. So does Channel 3 and the Republic." "Tell them no." "Wyatt, this is good press. Shows we're not the bad guys everyone thinks." "I said no." Wyatt's voice was flat. "This isn't about good press. It's about my mother." "Keep it focused." A pause. Then, "You're right. Sorry, brother." "Anything from Brennan's camp?" Radio silence, but his lawyers filed a motion this morning, trying to get the video thrown out, claiming it was recorded without consent. Wyatt smiled without humor. "Arizona's a one-party consent state. I was a party to that conversation. Video's legal." "They're also claiming harassment, saying we threatened Chad." "Let them claim. We got 12 witnesses and a live stream that says otherwise." Gus was quiet for a moment. "Walter Brennan's going to come at us hard, brother. You know that, right?" "Let him come." Wyatt hung up and stared at the Harley in front of him, half assembled. A 1968 Panhead he'd been restoring for 6 months. He'd promised the owner it would be done by Christmas. Some promises you keep, even when the world's falling apart around you. He picked up a wrench and got to work. His hands moved automatically. Tighten the bolt, check the tension, move to the next one. The same movements he'd done 10,000 times. Meditation through repetition. The door opened. Dorothy walked in carrying a paper bag. "Breakfast," she said. "You haven't eaten." "Mom, you didn't have to." "Bacon and eggs, your favorite. Sit." They sat on 2 old stools in the corner of the garage. Dorothy unpacked the food. 2 foam containers, coffee and a thermos. "You look terrible," she said. "Thanks. When's the last time you slept?" Wyatt thought about it. "Tuesday?" "Wyatt, I'm fine, Mom." They ate in silence for a while. The garage was quiet, safe, away from cameras and reporters and lawyers. "I saw the video," Dorothy finally said. "The whole thing. Someone sent me a link." Wyatt looked up. "You were very calm," she continued. "Very controlled. Just like your father used to be when he was angry. The quieter he got, the angrier he was." "I learned from the best." Dorothy's eyes filled. She looked away, wiped them quickly. "I'm sorry," she said. "For what?" "For not telling you sooner. For letting it get that far. For—" "Mom," Wyatt put down his fork. "You have nothing to apologize for. Nothing. You were trying to handle it yourself. I get it. You've been handling things yourself since Dad died. I should have trusted you." "You did trust me. You called me when you needed me. That's all that matters." Dorothy reached across and squeezed his hand. Her fingers were thin, bony. When had that happened? "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we build a case. My lawyer friend Dalton Pierce, he's good. Former JAG officer. He's filing a civil suit against Chad and Walter for harassment, assault, and emotional distress. They'll fight it." "They'll fight it," Wyatt agreed. "But we have video. We have witnesses. And now we have something else." "What?" "Public opinion. People are angry, Mom. Not just about what happened to you. About what Walter Brennan represents. Corruption. The rich playing by different rules. You're a symbol now." Dorothy laughed bitterly. "I don't want to be a symbol. I just want to buy groceries without getting attacked. I know, but sometimes we don't get to choose our battles. They choose us. His phone buzzed. A text from Wrench. Got something. Come to the clubhouse when you can. Wyatt stood. I need to go. You staying here? I have some errands. Take Diesel with you. Wyatt, I don't need a babysitter. Humor me, please. Dorothy sighed. Fine, but tell him to be subtle. Last time he followed me to the grocery store, he looked like a bodyguard in a bad movie. Wyatt smiled despite everything. I'll tell him. He watched her drive away, Diesel's motorcycle a discreet 50 yards behind. Then he mounted his Harley and rode to the clubhouse. Wrench had his laptop open on the bar. The clubhouse was empty except for him, Gus, and Diesel, who'd circled back after seeing Dorothy safely home. Show him, Gus said. Wrench turned the laptop around. A spreadsheet filled the screen. Names, dates, amounts. What am I looking at? Wyatt asked. Walter Brennan's scheme. I got a guy, works in the county clerk's office. Owes me a favor. He pulled property records for the last 5 years. Wrench pointed at the screen. 4 shopping centers, all in Phoenix, all experience sudden drops in property value over 6 to 12 months. Crime reports up, vandalism, customer complaints. Then Walter Brennan swoops in and buys them for 30 to 40% below market value. How much total? $18.7 million in profit. That's just what we can document. Wyatt leaned in, studied the numbers. And Chad's harassment? Part of the pattern. We found 6 other elderly victims. Same MO, fake car accident, demand cash. Harass them until they stop coming to that shopping center. Do it enough times, place looks unsafe. Property value drops. Jesus. There's more, Wrench said. He pulled up another file. Bank records. Walter's moving money through shell companies, 3 of them, all registered in Delaware. Classic money laundering setup. Wyatt sat back. This wasn't just harassment anymore. This was organized crime. Can we prove it? He asked. Some of it, but we'd need access to bank records we don't have. The kind of access that requires a warrant. Or an FBI investigation. The room went quiet. You want to bring in the feds? Gus asked carefully. Wyatt thought about it. Bringing in federal law enforcement was always risky. They asked questions, looked at everyone involved. The club had nothing to hide, but still, you didn't invite that kind of scrutiny unless you had no choice. Not yet, Wyatt said finally, but keep digging. If Walter's dirty enough, the FBI will come looking on their own. His phone rang. Dalton Pierce, the lawyer. Wyatt, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Judge Harrington just recused himself from your mother's case. Why? Didn't say, but I did some digging. Harrington's daughter works for Brennan Development, has for 3 years. Wyatt's jaw tightened. So Brennan owns him. Can't prove that, but the timing's suspicious. We're being reassigned to Judge Patricia Holbrook. She's clean as far as I can tell. Good reputation, fair. But she's also by the book. We need to have everything perfect. How perfect? Medical records for your mother's injuries, witness statements, video evidence with proper chain of custody. This needs to be airtight. Can you handle it? Yes, but Wyatt, I need to ask you something. Go ahead. The video, the live stream, did you plan that, or was it spontaneous? Wyatt remembered standing in the rain, phone in his hand, finger hovering over the Facebook Live button. Spontaneous, he said. Why? Because Brennan's lawyers are going to argue you set the whole thing up, that you provoked their client to create viral content. They're going to paint you as the aggressor. Let them try. I have 12 witnesses who'll testify I never touched Chad Brennan. Witnesses who are all Hell's Angels. Witnesses who are all military veterans with clean records. Dalton was quiet. You're right, that plays well. Okay, I'll start taking depositions tomorrow. Can you have your guys available? They'll be there. Wyatt hung up and looked at Gus and Wrench. "We need to be perfect," he said. "Everything documented, everything legal, no mistakes." "We've been perfect," Gus said. "I know, but Brennan's going to be looking for any excuse to flip this, make us look like the bad guys. We can't give him anything." The door opened. Diesel walked in with a young kid, early 20s, skinny, nervous. "Boss," Diesel said, "this is Marcus Webb, works at the Walmart, night security. Says he has something you need to see." Marcus clutched a thumb drive like it was made of gold. "Mr. Whitmore, I saw what happened to your mom on the video. And? And I remembered seeing that Chad guy before, lot of times, always bothering older customers. So I checked our security footage. From the past 6 weeks," he held out the thumb drive. "It's all here. Every time he harassed your mom, every time she tried to avoid him, every time he followed her to her car." Wyatt took the thumb drive. "Why are you giving this to me?" Marcus straightened up, tried to look brave. "Because my grandma got mugged last year, right outside that Walmart. Guy was never caught. Cops barely tried. And I watched her get scared, scared to go out, scared to live her life." His voice cracked. "Your mom stood up. On that video, even with that guy's hand on her throat, she stood up. So I'm standing up too." Wyatt held out his hand. Marcus shook it. "Thank you," Wyatt said. "You might have just saved this case." After Marcus left, Wyatt plugged in the thumb drive. 6 weeks of footage. Dorothy arriving every Wednesday, Chad appearing, following her, confronting her, getting progressively more aggressive. "This is gold," Dalton said when Wyatt called him back. "This shows pattern and escalation, premeditation. I can work with this." "Good, because we're going to need every advantage we can get." Friday afternoon, 48 hours after the video. The Arizona Republic ran the story on page 1. Billionaire's son charged in assault of elderly woman. Below it, a photo. Chad Brennan in handcuffs. Walter Brennan beside his son, jaw tight, eyes hard. And another photo. Dorothy Whitmore standing in front of the Walmart, head high, bruises visible on her throat. The caption read, "David versus Goliath. 78-year-old woman takes on Phoenix's most powerful family." Wyatt read it at the garage. A reporter had called earlier asking for comment. He'd said no. Let the facts speak. But the reporter had been smart. She'd talked to neighbors, to other victims, to the Walmart employees. The story painted a picture. Walter Brennan as a predator, the police as complicit, the justice system as broken, and Dorothy as a hero. His mother called an hour after the paper hit the stands. "Have you seen it?" she asked. "Yeah. They're calling me a hero." "You are a hero." "I just tried to buy groceries, Wyatt. That's not heroic." "No, but refusing to back down, standing up when they tried to buy your silence, that's heroic." Dorothy was quiet. "I'm scared." Those 3 words hit harder than any punch. "I know, Mom. They're going to come after me. Walter Brennan, his lawyers. They're going to try to destroy me. They're going to try, but they won't succeed. You know why? Why? Because you're not alone anymore. You have me. You have the club. You have a damn good lawyer. And you have 200,000 people who watched that video and decided you matter. I've never mattered to 200,000 people before." "Well, you do now. Get used to it." She laughed, small, watery, but real. "Okay," she said. "Okay." Saturday morning, the counterattack. The lawsuit arrived via courier at 7 a.m. Wyatt signed for it, opened the envelope, 23 pages of legal language. Walter Brennan was suing him. Defamation, harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, loss of business reputation, seeking $5 million in damages. Wyatt called Dalton. "I just got served." "Same. They're going after your mother too, and 3 members of your club who were in the video. Can they do that? They can sue anyone for anything. Doesn't mean they'll win. This is a slap suit. A what? Strategic lawsuit against public participation. It's designed to intimidate you, make you spend money on lawyers, tie you up in court. They don't expect to win. They just want to punish you for speaking out. So what do? We file an anti-slap motion. Arizona has strong protections for this kind of thing. We can probably get it dismissed, but it'll take time. How much time? 3 to 6 months, maybe longer if they appeal. Wyatt looked at the lawsuit again. $5 million. Money he didn't have. Money that would bankrupt him even if he won. This is about breaking me, he said. Yes, they're betting you can't afford to fight, that you'll settle, drop your mother's case in exchange for them dropping this one. That's not happening. I know, but Wyatt, I need you to understand what you're walking into. The Brennans have unlimited resources. They can drag this out for years, bleed you dry with legal fees. Then we end it quick. How? Wyatt thought about the thumb drive, the security footage, the bank records Wrench had found. By giving someone else a reason to investigate Walter Brennan, someone with more resources than we have. The FBI? Yeah. Know anyone there? Dalton was quiet for a moment. Maybe. Let me make some calls. Sunday evening, the breaking point. Wyatt was in his garage when Diesel burst in. Boss, we got a problem. What kind? Your mom. Someone threw a brick through her window, left a note. Wyatt was moving before Diesel finished talking. On his bike, racing through Phoenix streets, ran 2 red lights, didn't care. He found Dorothy sitting on her couch, Wrench beside her. Glass covered the living room floor. A brick sat on the coffee table. Taped to it, a note in block letters. Drop it, or next time it won't be a brick. Dorothy looked up when Wyatt walked in. Her face was pale, hands shaking. I'm okay, she said. I'm okay. Wyatt knelt beside her, checked her over. No cuts, no injuries, just shock. Did you call the police? He asked Wrench. Yeah, they came, took a report, said they'd patrol the neighborhood. That's it? Wrench's expression was dark. Officers said it's probably just kids, pranks, nothing to worry about. Wyatt looked at the note, professional block letters, deliberate spacing. This wasn't kids. I'm calling Dalton, he said, and I'm calling someone else. He stepped outside, dialed a number he hadn't used in 5 years. Cornelius Neil Blackwood answered on the 3rd ring. Wyatt, that you? Yeah, been a while, Neil. Iraq, right? You pulled me out of that vehicle after the IED. You remember. Hard to forget the guy who saved your life. What's up? You still with the FBI? Yeah, Financial Crimes Unit. Why? I have something you're going to want to see. Special Agent Blackwood sat in Wyatt's garage, laptop open, reviewing the evidence, the bank records, the property schemes, the security footage, Marcus Webb's testimony, Dorothy's medical records. How long have you been sitting on this? Blackwood asked. We just pulled it together in the last few days. Blackwood leaned back. Walter Brennan, we've been looking at him for 18 months. You have? Financial crimes, money laundering. We suspected he was dirty, but we couldn't prove it. Couldn't get enough for a warrant. He gestured at the laptop. This is enough. This is more than enough. So you'll investigate? We're already investigating, have been. Your video just gave us the public pressure we needed to move faster. Blackwood closed the laptop. But Wyatt, I need you to understand something. This is going to get ugly. When we go after guys like Brennan, they fight back. Hard. They already are. Someone threw a brick through my mother's window last night. Blackwood's expression hardened. You report it? Local police. They don't care. They will when I start asking questions. He stood. I need you to do something for me. What? Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Keep your mother safe. Keep the pressure on. Let Brennan think he's winning. Meanwhile, we'll be building a case. When we move, it'll be fast, and it'll be final. How long? 2 weeks, maybe 3. Can you hold out that long? Wyatt thought about his mother, about the brick, about the lawsuit, about Walter Brennan's smug face on the news. Yeah, he said, we can hold out. Blackwood shook his hand. Thank you for your service, both in Iraq and here. After he left, Wyatt sat in the silence of his garage. 2 weeks. He just had to keep his mother safe for 2 weeks. Wyatt couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, mind racing. The brick through the window had shaken him more than he wanted to admit, not because of the threat, he'd faced worse in Iraq, but because it was his mother, and he couldn't be everywhere at once. He got up, walked to his closet, pulled out a box from the top shelf. Inside, his army uniform, pressed and folded, ribbons and medals in a case, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, the evidence of a life spent in service. And at the bottom, a photo, Fallujah, 2004. His unit, 12 men posing in front of a Humvee, young, confident, invincible. Randy Kovacs stood next to him, best friend, brother in everything but blood. Randy died 3 days after that photo was taken. IED hit their convoy. He was in the lead vehicle. Wyatt pulled him out of the wreckage, but it was too late. Too much damage, too much blood. Randy's last words, promise me you'll go home. Take care of your family. Don't waste your life on this war. Wyatt had promised, and he'd kept that promise, mostly. He'd come home, built a business, stayed close to his mother. But there was always a part of him still in Iraq, still in that Humvee, still covered in Randy's blood. The war never really ended. It just moved to different battlefields. He looked at the photo again. Randy's smile, the way he always looked like he knew a secret. I'm keeping the promise, Wyatt said to the photo, but it's harder than you made it sound. Randy didn't answer. Dead men never do. Wyatt put the photo back, closed the box, went back to bed. Tomorrow he'd keep fighting, keep protecting, keep pushing, because that's what you did when you made a promise. You kept it, no matter the cost. Dorothy's Wednesday morning routine had changed. Now it included Diesel on a motorcycle 50 yards behind her, Wrench in an unmarked car across the street, Gus in the Walmart parking lot, an entire club standing guard over one 78-year-old woman. She hated it. Wyatt knew she hated it. But she didn't argue anymore, not after the brick. Wyatt sat in his truck, watching his mother shop. Through the Walmart window, he could see her pushing a cart, checking her list. Normal, ordinary, except for the 4 veterans watching her every move. His phone buzzed. Blackwood. We're moving Friday. 2 days. Can you keep your mother somewhere safe Thursday night through Friday? Yeah, what's happening Friday? Simultaneous raids. Brennan's office, his house, his bank. We're executing warrants for everything. When we're done, he won't be able to sneeze without us knowing about it. What about retaliation? That's why I need your mother somewhere safe. Once we hit him, he's going to lash out. Probably at her, at you. We'll have agents watching, but I'd rather not take chances. Understood. Wyatt hung up and watched his mother exit the store. Gus walked 10 feet behind her, casual, like he just happened to be leaving at the same time. Dorothy got to her car, started loading groceries. No BMW, no Chad Brennan, no threats. Just an old woman buying food for the week. It should have been that simple all along. Wyatt's phone buzzed again, this time a text from an unknown number. Enjoy your mother while you can. He stared at it, knew he should show it to Blackwood. Document it, use it as evidence. Instead, he typed back, 2 days, that's all you have left. Make them count. He hit send and started his truck. 2 more days. Then the hammer fell, and Walter Brennan would learn what happened when you threaten the wrong man's mother. Dorothy sat at Wyatt's kitchen table, suitcase by the door, looking like she was about to argue. "I don't understand why I have to leave my house," she said for the third time. Wyatt poured coffee, didn't look at her. If he looked at her, she'd see the worry in his eyes. "It's just for one night, Mom, maybe two." "You won't tell me why?" "Because I don't want you involved more than you already are." "Wyatt, I'm already involved. That video has 500,000 views now. My face is on the news. I think it's a little late to protect me." He set the coffee down in front of her, finally met her eyes. "Tomorrow, some things are going to happen. Things that might make Walter Brennan angry. And when powerful men get angry, they do stupid things. I just want you somewhere he can't reach you until it's over." Dorothy studied his face. She'd known him for 62 years, changed his diapers, taught him to read, watched him ship off to war twice. She could read him better than anyone alive. "The FBI," she said. "They're going after him." Wyatt didn't confirm, didn't deny. "Good," Dorothy said. She picked up her coffee, took a sip. "About damn time," Wyatt almost smiled. His mother rarely cursed. When she did, it meant she was done being scared. "Gus is going to stay here with you. 4 other guys outside. You'll be safe. And you? I have something I need to do." "Wyatt." "Mom." He reached across the table, took her hand. "I made you a promise that I'd keep you safe. Let me keep it." She squeezed his fingers. Her hand felt so small in his. "Your father made me a promise once," she said quietly. "The night before you were born. He said he'd always protect us. And he did. Every day until his heart gave out." Her eyes filled. "You're just like him. Too stubborn to know when to quit." "I learned from the best." They sat there in the quiet kitchen. Rain started outside, gentle at first, then harder. Phoenix didn't get much rain, but when it came fierce. "What time tomorrow?" Dorothy asked. "Early, 6 a.m., maybe sooner." She nodded. "Then I should sleep." Wyatt walked her to the guest room, made sure the window was locked, the curtain drawn. Gus was already settling into the living room couch, shotgun within reach. "Sleep well, Mom." "You too, sweetheart." But Wyatt didn't sleep. He sat in his garage until 3 a.m., cleaning his father's old service pistol, a 1911 from Korea. The old man had carried it through 2 tours, never fired it in anger, kept it cleaned and oiled for 40 years after the war. Some habits you inherit, some promises you keep. At 4 a.m., Wyatt's phone lit up. "Blackwood. We're moving at 0600. Stay clear. Protect your mother. This ends today." Wyatt texted back, "Copy that." He made coffee, watched the sun come up, and waited. Walter Brennan's house sat in Paradise Valley, 8,000 square feet, 10 acres, gates, guards, the kind of place that screamed money and power. At exactly 6 a.m., those gates meant nothing. 6 FBI vehicles crashed through, 20 agents in tactical gear. Warrants for everything, financial records, computer files, personal documents. Walter stood in his bathrobe on his marble staircase, watching federal agents tear through his life. "This is outrageous," he said to Blackwood. "I'm calling my lawyer." "Please do," Blackwood replied. "He's going to need a head start." Simultaneously, agents hit Brennan Development Headquarters, Chad Brennan's condo, 3 shell company offices, the bank where Walter kept his private accounts. Coordinated, professional, overwhelming. By 7 a.m., Walter Brennan sat in an interrogation room at the Phoenix FBI field office. Lawyer beside him, face red with rage. "You have nothing," Walter said. "This is harassment." Blackwood laid out photos, bank statements, property records, security footage from Walmart showing Chad harassing 6 different elderly victims over 18 months. "We have everything," Blackwood said calmly. 18.7 million in fraudulent property transactions, money laundering through 3 shell corporations, witness intimidation, conspiracy to commit fraud. And that's just from the last 4 years. He laid down one more photo, the brick thrown through Dorothy's window. Oh, and threatening a federal witness. We pulled prints off that brick. Guess whose employee threw it? Walter's lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. Walter's face went pale. I want to make a deal, he said. I'm sure you do, Blackwood replied. But first, let's talk about your son. Wyatt paced, checked his phone, paced some more. Gus called at 7:30. Your mom's fine, asking for you. Tell her I'll be there soon. Wyatt, turn on the news. Wyatt grabbed the remote. Channel 5 was live outside Walter Brennan's house. Police tape, FBI vehicles, agents carrying boxes. The reporter's voice trembled with excitement. In a stunning development, the FBI has executed simultaneous raids on multiple properties belonging to billionaire developer Walter Brennan. Sources say this is connected to an ongoing investigation into money laundering and fraud. We're also hearing that Brennan's son Chad has been taken into federal custody. Wyatt's phone exploded. Texts from the club, from Dalton, from people he hadn't heard from in years. Then one text stood out. Marcus Webb, the Walmart security guard. Did you see? They got him. They got him. Wyatt allowed himself a small smile. Then his phone rang. Blackwood. It's done, the agent said. Walter's in custody. Chad too. We've frozen their assets, seized their records. They're not going anywhere. What about my mother's case? The DA's office is filing formal charges this afternoon. Assault, harassment, witness intimidation. Chad's looking at 8 to 12 years if convicted. Walter's looking at 25 to life on the money laundering alone. Wyatt sat down. The tension that had been coiled in his chest for 2 weeks released all at once. Thank you, he said. Don't thank me. Thank your mother. She's the one who stood up. We just followed where she led. After hanging up, Wyatt sat in the silence of his garage. Rain still fell outside. The sound on the metal roof was almost musical. He thought about calling Dorothy, decided to tell her in person instead. Some news deserved to be delivered face to face. Wyatt brought Dorothy home at 2 p.m. The broken window had been replaced, the glass cleaned up. Wrench and Diesel had spent the morning fixing everything. Good as new, Wrench said, standing back to admire his work. Dorothy walked through her house slowly, touching things, the couch where she read, the kitchen where she cooked, the photos on the wall. I didn't think I'd feel safe here again, she said quietly. You will, Wyatt said. It just takes time. At 3 p.m., the news broke nationwide. CNN picked it up, then Fox, then MSNBC. Billionaire developer arrested in massive fraud scheme. Elderly woman's courage leads to FBI investigation. Dorothy's face was everywhere. The video had gone viral beyond Phoenix now. 2 million views, 5 million, 10 million. The story was too good, too perfect. David versus Goliath. A 78-year-old woman taking down a corrupt billionaire. America loved it. Dorothy's phone started ringing. Morning shows wanting interviews. Barbara Walters people. 60 Minutes. She ignored them all. I'm not doing interviews, she told Wyatt. This isn't about being famous. It's about doing what's right. But the world disagreed. By Friday evening, there was a GoFundMe for Dorothy's legal expenses. It raised $50,000 in 6 hours, then $100,000, then $200,000. People sent letters, flowers, cards from all over the country. You inspired my grandmother to report her abuse. Thank you for showing us that one person can make a difference. You're a hero. Dorothy read them in her kitchen, tears streaming down her face. I'm not a hero, she kept saying. I just bought groceries. But Wyatt knew better. Heroes were just ordinary people who refused to back down. Chad Brennan's preliminary hearing was standing room only. News cameras lined the hallway. Reporters fought for seats. Dorothy sat in the front row, Wyatt beside her. Behind them, all 18 members of the Scottsdale chapter. A wall of leather and loyalty. Chad shuffled in wearing an orange jumpsuit. His fancy suits were gone. His swagger was gone. He looked small, diminished. The judge read the charges: 17 counts of assault, conspiracy to commit fraud, witness intimidation, money laundering. Chad's lawyer tried to argue bail. The prosecutor stood up. Your Honor, the defendant has access to significant financial resources through family connections. He's a flight risk. We request he be held without bail. The judge looked at Chad, then at the gallery packed with people whose lives he damaged. Bail denied. The defendant will remain in federal custody pending trial. Chad's face crumbled. He looked at his father in the gallery. Walter Brennan sat 3 rows back, also in handcuffs, flanked by federal marshals. He couldn't even meet his son's eyes. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Mrs. Whitmore, how do you feel? Do you think justice was served? What do you want to say to other victims? Dorothy stopped on the courthouse steps. Wyatt tried to guide her past, but she held up a hand. I'll say something. The cameras focused. Microphones thrust forward. Dorothy took a breath. Wyatt saw her hands shake slightly. Then she steadied herself. I'm not a hero, she said. Her voice was quiet but firm. I'm just a woman who was tired of being afraid, tired of being pushed around, tired of watching powerful people hurt others without consequence. She paused. But here's what I learned. You don't have to be strong to stand up. You don't have to be young. You don't have to be powerful. You just have to decide that enough is enough. A reporter called out, What would you say to Walter Brennan now? Dorothy looked directly into the camera. I'd say that money can buy a lot of things, but it can't buy character. It can't buy integrity, and it can't buy your way out of consequences forever. She turned and walked down the steps, Wyatt at her side. The crowd erupted in applause. The courtroom was packed again. Walter Brennan stood before Judge Patricia Holbrook. His expensive lawyers had tried everything. Delays, motions, appeals. Nothing worked. The evidence was overwhelming. The bank records, the witness testimony, the video that had been watched 30 million times worldwide. Judge Holbrook looked at Walter over her glasses. Mr. Brennan, in my 30 years on the bench, I've seen many defendants. Some show remorse, some show defiance. You've shown only arrogance. She shuffled papers. You used your wealth and power to terrorize the vulnerable. You corrupted public officials. You taught your son that cruelty was acceptable if you had enough money. Walter's jaw was tight, his eyes hard. The law is clear on this. The evidence is overwhelming. I sentence you to 38 years in federal prison. No possibility of parole for 20 years. A gasp went through the courtroom. Walter's lawyer started to object. The judge cut him off. Additionally, all assets obtained through fraudulent means will be seized and distributed to your victims. Your company will be dissolved, and you will be barred from conducting business in Arizona for life. She banged the gavel. Take him away. Federal marshals led Walter Brennan out in handcuffs. He didn't look at the gallery, didn't look at anyone. 1 week later, Chad Brennan received his sentence. 25 years, no parole for 15. Dorothy attended both hearings, sat in the front row, watched justice happen. Afterward, outside the courthouse, she turned to Wyatt. Is it over? She asked. Yeah, Mom, it's over. She nodded slowly. Good. I'd like to go buy groceries now. If that's all right, Wyatt smiled. I'll drive you. Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Dorothy pulled into the Walmart parking lot. No bodyguards followed her anymore. No cameras, no reporters, just an old woman buying groceries. She pushed her cart through the aisles, checked her list, selected produce, the mundane rituals of ordinary life. But something had changed. People recognized her now. Not everyone, but enough. An elderly man nodded to her in the cereal aisle. Thank you, he said simply. A young woman approached near the checkout. My grandmother saw your video. She reported her abuse because of you. They arrested the guy last week. Dorothy didn't know what to say to that, so she just smiled. At the checkout, the cashier, a teenager with purple hair, rang up her items. "You're her, right? The lady from the video?" Dorothy nodded. "That was badass," the girl said, then caught herself. "Sorry, that was really brave." "Thank you, dear." As Dorothy loaded groceries into her car, she noticed the parking lot had changed. New lights, brighter, new cameras everywhere, a security guard patrolling on foot, and a sign, "Dorothy Whitmore Safety Zone, protected 24/7. She stood there for a long moment, looking at her name on that sign. A truck pulled up beside her. Wyatt climbed out. "I thought you weren't following me anymore," she said. "I'm not. I was just in the neighborhood." "Wyatt, you live 20 minutes away." He grinned, helped her load the last bags. "Want to get lunch?" They drove to a diner they'd been going to for 30 years. Same vinyl booths, same menu, same waitress who'd been there since Dorothy was 40. Over coffee and pie, Wyatt's phone buzzed. He checked it, smiled. "What?" Dorothy asked. "Dalton. The civil settlement came through. Walter Brennan's insurance is paying out $12 million to his victims. Your share is $800,000. Dorothy's fork clattered onto her plate. "What?" "Compensation for harassment, emotional distress, and medical expenses, plus punitive damages." "I don't want his money. It's not his anymore. It's yours. You earned it." Dorothy sat back. $800,000. More money than she'd seen in her entire life. "I don't need it," she said finally. "Then give it away. There's a lot of people who could use help." Dorothy thought about the letters she'd received, from other victims, from people who couldn't afford lawyers, from elderly people living in fear. "The Dorothy Whitmore Foundation," she said slowly, "for elderly advocacy, legal help, protection services." Wyatt raised his coffee cup. "Perfect." Phoenix City Hall was decorated for the occasion. Mayor, city council, press, cameras everywhere. Dorothy stood at a podium, uncomfortable in a dress Wyatt had insisted she buy. The mayor handed her a plaque. "The Phoenix Civic Hero Award for extraordinary courage in the face of corruption and intimidation." Applause filled the room. Dorothy looked out at the crowd. Familiar faces. Gus, Diesel, Wrench. The entire Scottsdale chapter in their cleanest leather. Marcus Webb from Walmart Security. Officer Nathaniel Briggs, who'd stood up to his corrupt chief. Agent Blackwood and his team. And Wyatt, always Wyatt, her son, her protector, her pride. She cleared her throat, spoke into the microphone. "I'm not good at speeches," she started. Nervous laughter from the crowd. "But I want to say something about courage." She paused, gathered her thoughts. "People think courage is about not being afraid. It's not. I was terrified. Every day, every time I saw that young man in the parking lot, I was afraid." Her voice strengthened. "But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right despite the fear. It's calling for help when you need it. It's trusting people to stand with you." She looked at Wyatt. "My son taught me that. He and his brothers. They showed me that you don't have to fight alone." Wyatt's eyes glistened. "So if there's anyone out there who's afraid, who's being bullied, who thinks they're powerless, I want you to know something." Dorothy's voice rang clear now, strong. "You're not alone, and you're not powerless. You have a voice. Use it. You have rights. Claim them. And there are people who will stand with you." She held up the plaque. "This isn't just for me. It's for everyone who's ever been told to shut up and take it. We don't have to shut up. We don't have to take it. Not anymore." The room erupted in applause. Wednesday morning. Dorothy's routine never changed, but now, when she pulled into Walmart, she smiled. The Dorothy Whitmore Foundation had funded security upgrades at 47 shopping centers across Arizona. Cameras, lights, trained security guards. Elder abuse reports were down 64% statewide. The law they'd helped pass, officially called the Elder Protection and Dignity Act, but everyone called it Dorothy's Law, had teeth, real penalties, real enforcement. Wyatt's phone rang as he worked in his garage, an unfamiliar number. "Mr. Whitmore, this is Diane Chen from 60 Minutes. We'd still love to interview your mother for—" "She's not interested, but thank you." He hung up. Some stories didn't need to be told again. Some heroes didn't need more cameras. His phone buzzed again, this time a text from Dorothy. "Finished shopping. Lunch? On my way." Wyatt cleaned his hands, closed up the garage, rode his Harley through Phoenix streets. The city looked different now, brighter somehow. Or maybe that was just him. He met Dorothy at the diner. She was already in their usual booth. "How was shopping?" he asked. "Perfect. No drama, no threats, just groceries." "Boring," she laughed. "Boring is good. I've had enough excitement for one lifetime." They ordered, ate, talked about nothing important. The weather, her garden, his latest restoration project. Normal, ordinary, beautiful. As they left, Dorothy took Wyatt's arm. "You know what I realized?" she said. "What's that?" "I spent 78 years being afraid of making waves, of standing out, of causing trouble." She squeezed his arm. "Best thing I ever did was stop being afraid and start causing trouble." Wyatt laughed. "You're a rebel, Mom." "I learned from the best." They stood in the parking lot, the same parking lot where everything had started, looking at the sign with her name on it. "Think we made a difference?" Dorothy asked. Wyatt thought about the foundation, the law, the 64% reduction in elder abuse, the thousands of letters from people who'd found the courage to speak up. "Yeah, Mom, we made a difference." She nodded, satisfied. "Good. Now take me home. I have cookies to bake for the community center." "Yes, ma'am." As Wyatt rode behind his mother's car, watching her drive carefully through Phoenix traffic, he thought about promises. He'd promised Randy he'd go home and take care of his family. He'd promised his wife Beth he'd stay honorable. He'd promised his mother he'd keep her safe. Promises kept, all of them. The rain had stopped weeks ago. Phoenix was dry again, clear skies stretching forever. Wyatt pulled up to a red light, looked at the city around him, the people walking, living their lives, safe, protected. One old woman had changed everything. One parking lot confrontation had brought down an empire. One video had reminded America that ordinary people could do extraordinary things. The light turned green. Wyatt twisted the throttle and rode on. Behind him, the Scottsdale chapter followed. 18 men who'd stood with him, who'd protected his mother like she was their own. Brothers, in every way that mattered. The sun was high, the road was clear, and for the first time in months, Wyatt felt something he'd almost forgotten. Peace. He rode home to the sound of 12 Harley engines singing in harmony, a rolling thunder of loyalty and love. And somewhere Randy Kovacs smiled. "Promise kept, brother. Promise kept."